there are a lot of jargons, I would say, or words which are
Okay.
not
Mhm.
so simple. We are not using them on day-to-day basis, so looks little bit of alienated for us, like kind of thing. So properly we need to understand or background of those
Yeah.
important words, or
Yeah,
then
the
it will be.
first session was kind of because I could not interact with you much, or I don't know what happened. But then I thought over it and then decided that my interventions I'll keep it to limited period, and then we'll learn through these activities where we will. Good afternoon, Amruta. So
Good
we
afternoon, sir.
so these activities. See, there are two perspectives of looking at the course. One, this course is a pre-PhD uh, level course. So where we are not, as a scholar, as a researcher, we are not expected to get into details of philosophy. But whatever philosophical incursions do happen in the research domain, that we need to consciously understand and be able to defend our whatever work we are doing. So to that extent, so I preceded this activity because of, I mean, the first session was not, it did not go well. And that's why I preponed this activity. Otherwise, this was planned for the second session. But then this is the gist of what possibly we could learn. If we could understand, with a conscious understanding, the activity is done, then probably half the philosophical learning which is expected of the course would have been delivered. But the only problem is whatever we do, how much of it are we understanding, and do we understand the comprehensive context of this? So there are a lot of jargons used. So we will have to de-jargonize those and understand those. So we'll try and do that in the course today and for the remaining sessions that we have. So let us start with the presentations. Amruta, if you're ready with your presentations, maybe we'll start with that.
Yes,
Amruta
sir.
Patil.
Hello.
Yeah, can you share your file and we can start? So the method that I'm going to adopt based on my learning is a little bit of talking from my side, and mostly it will be through activities, and then using AI to understand and decipher those activities. So that's the method that I'm going to adopt. So not much of lecturing from my side. That's the fundamental that I've decided. Right. So we'll understand through dialectic discourse, question answer, doing activities and understanding through that. Yeah. Amruta, please go ahead if you're ready. Yeah, Amruta, you're there. We lost you. Did we lose you? If Amruta is not there, Anjali, Anjali Ingole. If you're not ready, just let me know because you've submitted this. I thought that you were ready. And then don't worry about the consequences. We need to evolve it through discussions. Yeah. My mic is getting issues, Anjali. So while you set it up, who would like to volunteer if that is? So I have submissions from Amruta, Anjali, Apurva, Gitanjali. Who would like to come forth first? Yeah, MS. Who? MS is, I think,
Sir, me,
Jakan, Apurva.
Mangesh.
Mangesh. Yeah, Mangesh. Can we start?
Yeah, just a minute, sir. Let me see.
Yeah, take your
Let me
time.
present. Let me present the.
Yes. While people are getting in.
Let me present my.
So while you do that, I'd like to ask, some people haven't submitted as yet. What were the issues for those people?
Sir, I have already submitted, and last week I had even done the discussion also relatively to the three research papers,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you remember. Yeah, so I've already submitted also.
Right. Now, some people, there are 25 submissions. I think there are 45 odd students here, right?
Yeah, some have not joined, sir. We can see only 26 people have joined currently.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to know if there was any issue regarding the.
Sir,
Yes, Mangesh.
I have presented my screen. Is it visible?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's visible. You can go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So basically, I have taken three articles with respect to the organizational culture research basically. So I tried to find out three articles where uh, I mean, probably these were the four questions which were listed, like what is the ontology position did for each three articles, and
Mhm.
then epistemology assumptions, whether it converge or diverge,
Mhm.
and then whether there are range of legitimate ways to study the same topic, and then third was why do research needs on philosophy, and
Right.
then what do we understated assumptions in a piece of research, and last, what is the implicit assumptions in your topic, right?
Right. Right.
So these are the three articles which I have taken up. One was the basically talks about organizational culture and employee performance. Second one I has taken is the organizational culture and innovative work behavior, and then again another organizational culture and employee quality. So more or less from as suggested by the co-assignment, basically I took the same study with respect to IT and other things.
Right.
So if you see after the analyzing the three based on the Claude tool, what you have shared and based on the what are the inputs. So what I understand from the ontological position of the three articles, all three articles assumes a realistic objective ontology. So basically the first article, it talks more about culture, support, performance as a
Mhm.
stable and measurable entities. Whereas the second article was more about, again, from a culture part, innovative behaviors as an
Mhm.
independent study or something like that.
Mhm.
And the third was more about innovative again, but from a creative or measurable constructs, what was that? So basically, culture is here treated as an objective property, not as a socially constructed process.
In all the three articles, right?
Yes, on all the three articles. But
Okay.
they differ substantially from each other on ontologically.
Mhm. So what were the differences?
So difference is when all three recurs basically in assumptions, whatever the assumptions we carry out in our methodology. That's why.
Mhm.
So no single article stands out as a uniquely different, but on a basically study perspective, there are different ways of doing it. So
Mhm.
basically, culture is been treated as a variable.
Mhm.
Okay, so this was basically ontological position of the three articles.
Mhm.
And if you see the second question, which was epistemology, whether it converges or diverges. So
Mhm.
all three articles on agree on what counts as a valid evidence. So
Okay.
quantified ho या फिर operational construct, okay,
Mhm.
using validated instruments or hypothesis testing through statistical models or emphasize on replicability, generability, statistical interference. So basically, rich data, I mean, data from a perspective of interviews, observations, narratives are not primarily evidence, but still they were being, part of as a valid evidence. So if you see from a difference in methodological cross-sectional, descriptive cross-sectional, most squarely positive is what was used in all the three, I would say. So all three remains on the same broad quantitative hypothesis-driven traditions.
Okay. So there is an objectivist and interpretivist, subjectivist dimension that we spoke about, right?
Yes, yes.
So where does it fit in there? Are there any differences? Is there a consistency between the ontological position and epistemological position?
Yeah. So that is where on that table format I was not able to, basically interpret or present it, which I wanted to do, but due to time constraint and probably I would require we to take up this as a discussion point, and probably because last time you were giving examples, but it was little bit like a bouncer to us, or we were not able to digest to interpret on that level. So probably that would I would request you to maybe we in today's discussion we would like to take that as a maybe you can we can
Okay,
use this as an example.
we can always do that. But what now that initially talking without any reference to anything, it would make much sense. So I was talking about ontology, epistemology without knowing whether you are. So there is a difference between सत्य और भ्रम. एक स्टूडेंट को किसी ने पूछा था कि सर सत्य और भ्रम क्या है, डिफरेंस क्या है? तो सर आप पढ़ा रहे हैं ये तो सत्य है, लेकिन हम पढ़ रहे हैं ये भ्रम है.
Right. Absolutely, sir.
Right. तो वो भ्रम probably it had got something to do with my expectations because I'm mostly taught in live classes where interaction was a principal prerequisite for me, because through dialectics the topic evolves. So it was not there, so I could not explain those topics also properly. But everything is there in the slides. If you look at the session 1 slides, you would look at there are 3 dimensions. One is 3 aspects. One is ontology, epistemology, and axiology, right?
Yes.
So the ontology concerns about reality. What is reality? How do you see reality, right? And there are 2 extremes. The second is epistemology. What do you think is knowledge, right? Again, there are 2 extremes. And axiology also, value laden versus value agnostic, right? So where does it fit? Somewhere on the dimension it will fit, right? So there is also a de-jargonizer, which I think I circulated to you.
Yes.
So with the help of this, if there is a little bit of self-learning, say the end objective of the whole course, right, is to be able to convert your research idea into a philosophical paradigm, right? And consistency between the philosophy to the methods that you follow, right? So a little bit of contextual understanding to understand how does the dimension evolve and where my work fits into on the dimension. Just 1 second. Just one. Sorry for the disturbance. That's the idea. So the onion figure that we need to fill from philosophy to methods. And I suggest, because the audience is elite, right? You are experts in your own domain. You know your research topic. So a little bit of effort on those questions, right? Keeping the onion in mind, keeping the basic de-jargonize. We need to de-jargonize, simplify it. There are dimensions. Somewhere every work would fit in on those dimensions if Western philosophy is concerned. And that effort has to be done. And the more the effort you put in, the better is the understanding. Instead of somebody telling you, okay, this is your position, this is how you should go. But here in the presentation, what I saw, it is convergence. All the 3 articles are related to one ontological and epistemological positions. Although slight nuances would vary. And then the methods, accordingly, there is a consistency across. If you see from philosophical positions to the methods that you specifically mentioned that interview is not a method. So subjectivist or interpretivist is not the stance that any of these articles take. Right?
Right, sir. Absolutely.
So in the light of this thing, if you could look at the first presentation that I gave, and there are, have I shared that slide with you?
No, sir.
But
we didn't receive the.
I will do that.
Okay, sir.
Right? And some additional material, right? Thank you so much. I have some
Thank you.
questions related to your this thing presentation. Why would a researcher working on one paradigm potentially reject another paradigm's evidence as insufficient? Has that happened in any of the papers?
Sir, I mean, there was disturbance. Can you please repeat the question?
Uh, is there any evidence where a researcher working in one paradigm potentially reject another paradigm's evidence is as insufficient? So, for example, particularly methods, right? Interpretivist kind of method, interview as a method. If you are taking an objectivist stance, then the interpretivist interview is a method, right?
So you, yes, I would feel that probably if a particular researcher has used some method, probably like as you get example of interview, and if there is something you think that it could have certain pros and cons, probably you could find a better way of doing the research or maybe a better methodology to follow. Rather interview, you probably look for a brainstorming or kind of sessions or maybe a questionnaire kind of thing or something like that, which will be give you more concrete uh, options or research points or data
Right.
points, what I would say. Yes, you could differ basically into that.
Yes, and another point is organizational culture. You've studied three articles related to that concept. Is it necessarily studied from a positivist point of view, positivist, objectivist point of view, or is there another way of looking at it? Can you find out some other article which falls on the other end of the continuum, right?
Yeah, probably yes, definitely,
So it's another
definitely.
curiosity. Put that article, find out what are the positions, what are the methods, and is there a consistency across those articles,
Right.
right?
Okay. Yes.
And of
Yes.
course, while doing so, you would have a vague idea as to what you intend to do, right? What are the variables or constraints that you're proposing to study, and what are the different viewpoints on those aspects,
Yes. Definitely, sir.
right?
Yeah.
So if you could do that, then that will be a good enrichment, right?
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Mangesh. Who would like